to everybody in the building, man. Salute to y'all. What's up? It's been a day or three. You know what I'm saying? What's up with y'all? What y'all got going on out there, man? It seems that this David and Celeste situation is most definitely taking off, guys. Yeah, man. I reported to y'all one of my last lives that they were saying that Buddy could be going to jail. Nance looked like he's most definitely going to jail, guys. His reports of his indictment have came in, guys. When I'm talking about David and the Celeste Rivera case, guys, it's been on the news. You know, some of the more credible news stations have been reporting on it as well. It's not looking good for David. A lot of y'all felt like, what's up, Cupcake? A lot of y'all felt like, you know, basically he was guilty anyway. You know, he was shout out to 2026, most definitely the new year. What's up, Miss Pooh? Yeah, man. A lot of people been feeling like, yes, Cupcake, finally. Everybody's been feeling like, man, why this dude ain't been in jail? Well, from the reports that I'm getting from the news guys and Nancy Grace and a couple of others are saying that David is most definitely going to jail. Not to mention they found chainsaws and a burn cage, you know, at his residence. You know, they are most definitely looking to lock him up, guys. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. If you in the building, man, if you ain't done it, double tap that screen and click the 3 dots, hit the thumbs up. Those are 2 ways to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribing to the channel if you are new, guys. Yeah, man, we about to get off into it. Shout out to all the people I ain't seen in a couple of days. I know it's late, man. Y'all know I ain't on no schedule. I do my own thing. I jump out. You know, I jump in and jump out whenever I feel like it. Pretty much, we ain't on no set schedule, man. So tonight is the late night edition, man. You know, if you got a little time, you know, I most definitely got some content for you when it comes to this whole entire situation with David and Celeste, guys. Let me know if y'all ready to get into it. We ain't got to wait on nobody, Cupcake. We can just jump off in there, you know. I'm always prepared at all times. But we ain't starting on this one right here. I got to show y'all what's been piquing my interest, man. You know what I'm saying? What's been piquing my interest? Hold on. Let me turn this off. Yeah, let's just stop cut the music, D-Rec. Yeah, man, that was just my intro stuff. But you see it right here. It says, why didn't David's manager talk to police about the missing teen girl? Y'all remember David's manager basically said, you know, he didn't feel like it was his duty to have to report anything. He was trying to get the tour out the way, you know. He wasn't worried about nothing else, guys. That's basically what he told the grand jury when he was being questioned. That kind of that blew the top off this whole situation when it comes to him allegedly finna go to jail, guys. It was because somebody overheard him outside in the hallway, basically talking to his lawyer and saying, you know, key points, key words that let people know that basically they may be in there trying to indict David, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's get off into this. Let's see what the news had to say about David's manager not contacting the police about the missing teen girl, Celeste Rivera.
May soon break their silence, and singer David could soon face murder charges in the death of a teenage girl. That's according to TMZ. We check in now with Branson Quirk in Los Angeles. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. How you guys doing?
TMZ is breaking it down, guys.
So let's talk about this case involving
Shout out to
David.
Jay Stevens for being a member for 15
Hernandez
months.
Was reported missing from her home in April of 2024. Her remains found inside a Tesla registered to...
So let me tell y'all this. A lot of this is new information as well as them going over some of the other information they had before. But everything I'm about to show y'all is basically new things that are popping up in this case. It's not your same old, no. These are new updates basically going on in the David and Celeste Rivera situation, guys. Like I said, it looked like David is going to jail. Most definitely double tap that screen if you just got in the building. That's how you hit the like button if you're on the mobile device, or you can click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Shout out to Jay Stevens for being a member for the last 15 months. What's up, Purple Groovy? What's up, Jackie Wise? Hey, y'all. Shout out to y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all double tapping that screen. That's one way to hit the like button if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. And most definitely, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. This is Everything News, late night edition.
David in an impound lot in September. So witnesses have been testifying for a grand jury in the case. What are you guys hearing about a possible indictment?
Right, well, murder charges are very much looming in this case
David going to jail,
David.
finally,
David
guys.
himself could very well be indicted. Now, we know that a grand jury has been hearing evidence from witnesses for a little bit, and most notably, one of the day-to-day managers of David named Robert Morgenroth. He was the most notable person that we heard about that has been heard from this grand jury, and we're told that while
Happy
he
New
was
Year,
there,
everybody.
he was very much pushed to answer the question of why he did not call the police when he had noticed that Celeste Rivas had been missing for some time. And we're told by sources that at the courthouse during those several days, his response was essentially that he was not responsible for this.
See, I told y'all. They reiterating what we already heard previously. Basically, he said it wasn't his responsibility. He didn't feel like it was his responsibility to contact authorities about Celeste Rivera. What y'all think about that?
Saying that it was not his job, and that his job was to continue the tour going. As we know, David was on a massive tour going on. He had to cancel all of those dates. Interscope Records also dropped him from their website very, very quickly. But as of now, we know that this grand jury is an investigative jury that votes on handing down indictments, and we know that the prosecutors do believe that David had something to do with this, so they will be asking the grand jury to hand this indictment down.
The prosecutors do believe that David had something to do with this. Just like the rest of us. We knew he had something to do with it when they first started talking about it. So the prosecutor isn't far off, in my opinion. We all feel like David had something to do with this.
And we know there was the connection between, the vehicle, that Tesla, but what do we know about the relationship between David and Celeste?
I mean, that's the biggest question right now, and we'll definitely be hearing more during the process of this trial that is most likely ramping up very quickly. This grand jury is going to be hearing witnesses all the way up to February, so you will not be seeing any indictment anytime soon. But in terms of the relationship, I mean, we saw photos of these two. They had met a long time ago, as early as when Celeste Rivas was 12 years old. We know that she was just a couple years older than that when she did pass away. So the relationship is very concerning on top of everything else we've heard.
All right, let's turn to P. Diddy now. So two of his sons want to share their side of the story in a new docuseries. Sounds like this may be in response to the Netflix docuseries that a lot of people are watching right now.
A little extra tea for y'all. Diddy sons are about to drop their own docuseries on their dad. They tired of getting all that negative press, from 50. So they have decided to drop their own P. Diddy documentary, guys. Both of Diddy's sons, Diddy's sons have come together and said, man, we're going to drop our own video.
I mean, you make a really good point, especially because that 50 Cent documentary on Netflix became #1 for some time. Such a big presence on that. But now, Diddy's sons, Justin and Christian, are going to be telling their side of the story. We got a little bit of a sneak peek on Sunday of what this might look like. We saw Christian and Justin sitting on a couch, not saying anything, but they're watching footage back all the way back to those raids in Florida, in Los Angeles, of Diddy's homes. We see courtroom chaos footage. We can hear courtroom chaos.
Lord have mercy. They're going to be talking about how they daddy got
yelling
done.
questions at Christian and Justin, and seeing them get more and more tense as this promo goes along. And the trailer ends with a call incoming from FCI Fort Dix, which is where Diddy is being held. So it's unclear whether or not Diddy is actually going to be speaking in this documentary, possibly via phone call. So we'll have to see this thing actually comes out in early 2026 on the Zeus network. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that Diddy and his team, and probably his family as well, not too thrilled about the Netflix documentary either.
Y'all ready for the new Diddy doc, you know what I'm saying, that's going to be produced by his sons? Are y'all ready for it? You know what I'm saying? Hey, guys, we 174 people deep in the building. Please double tap that screen. That's how you hit the like button, or click those 3 dots in the right-hand corner. That's another way to hit the like button if you're not on a mobile device. If you're on a mobile device, simply double tap your screen. Make sure you're subscribing if you're new.
Oh, not at all. I mean, we do know that once this 50 Cent documentary came out, Diddy had actually sent flowers to
What up,
50
Chris?
Cent, which were aligned with funeral home flowers. So take that with what way you want and make a decision on that.
All right, we'll have to see what comes out in this new docuseries.
All right, so that was one of the places that I seen that they were talking about David, guys, in the situation at hand. Here is another. Check this out.
About the Celeste Rivas Hernandez murder investigation, private investigator Steve Fisher tells News Nation a chainsaw was found.
That private investigator be everywhere, man. He be over there with my guys on Law and Crime. He be on Fox. He be everywhere. News Nation. Man, the PI really got this one in the bag, man. And he's spreading all the information he can. Here goes some information on the chainsaw and burn cage.
Inside the Hollywood Hills home that the singer David was renting. Meanwhile, top criminal defense attorney Mark Garagos, who does not represent David, tells me David's defense is simple. What's David's defense at this point?
I think if they had tape, or if they had tape, whether surrounding ring cameras or surveillance cameras or Tesla cameras that showed David actually placing the body in the trunk, and they can pin that to the time of death, I don't think we'd still be waiting.
Interesting perspective. Garagos referring to the fact that
now remember also in this case, guys, the coroner mouth has been basically muted. They saying that they can't come out with any more details regarding Celeste Rivera. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of discretion over the condition of the body, whether she had her head, if she didn't have her head, has she been chopped into little bitty pieces? You know, was she pregnant? It was a lot of questions going on. Well, they first came out saying she had got chopped up and that her head was missing, and now they have came back to say that she wasn't chopped up or frozen, and her head was attached. So I don't know, but the coroner cannot speak right now. He has been silenced, guys.
It has still not officially been named a suspect months after Rivas Hernandez's dismembered remains were found in the trunk of a Tesla registered to him. TMZ is reporting a grand jury is likely to indict the 20-year-old singer in the young girl's murder case.
Fox 11 Weather is sponsored by...
We ain't doing no dang weather.
Storm for sure.
We ain't doing no weather. Don't tell me they done got me with the weather. It's all good. You know, we ain't doing no weather. We here to talk about Celeste Rivera and David, guys. All right. There's more, you know, on this indictment, man. I'm telling y'all, David going to jail.
That could be coming in a very high-profile death investigation. TMZ is now reporting an LA grand jury may soon be asked to indict singer David in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. The singer was raised right here in Houston. So far, no charges have been filed yet, but legal experts say the process could move quickly from here. Our sister station in Los Angeles has the latest.
Let's go.
Preparing for a possible murder indictment.
It's obviously a very stressful time for the attorney and client.
TMZ reporting tonight that an LA grand jury will be asked to return an indictment which could send singer David to jail for the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
So they are most definitely trying to indict David, guys. Remember, they were just throwing stuff against the wall in the beginning. They wasn't sure, you know, and then the report about hearing the lawyer, which led them to speculate that they were basically having a grand jury meeting about David. Well, now it's basically been confirmed, man. They most definitely had one, and they are looking to indict David. You know, it is after the new year, so they say he will be going to jail shortly after the new year. So any day now, they should be picking up David, guys.
KTLA tonight talked to two top defense attorneys not involved in this case.
First things you want to talk about is bail resources. Do you have family members or friends who are willing to put up bail and collateral so that you can remain out of custody while the case is pending? And we're not just talking about a small amount. We're talking about several millions of dollars in collateral.
Prosecutors right now are presenting evidence, which includes items found in David's rented Hollywood Hills home. Private investigator Steve Fisher told News Nation tonight there was a burn cage incinerator and
we found a chainsaw.
There go the burn cage for y'all that don't know what that is. It's like a spot where, like, people who live in the country, you know, You know, the garbage man don't come by and pick up their trash. Well, this is basically something for them to be able to put their trash in and burn it up, so they don't have to worry about anybody coming to pick it up and taking it off. They can just burn up their trash. Well, it's coincidental to the police and to us that he had this in his crib brand new, y'all. And basically this thing gets hot enough when they put whatever they put in it, wood, whatever, the fuel, whatever, however it is to burn, it get hot enough to basically burn a human body, guys. So you put 1 and 2 to 1 plus 1 together equals 2. People are feeling like this cage thing was bought to basically try to cremate the body, guys. And that the chainsaws basically was to chop up the body, guys. I'm just saying, hey man, this is what they telling me. I'm just telling y'all.
Was a burn cage incinerator, and
we found a chainsaw, brand new. It was with the incinerator. And there's no purpose for a chainsaw to be at this rental house.
Hey guys, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. You know, let's take time to double tap that screen if we on the mobile device. It helps out the channel. That's how you hit the like button. Double tap your screen if you're on the mobile device, or click those 3 dots and hit that thumbs up, man. It's free. It ain't gonna cost you $1 to double tap your screen, or to click those 3 dots in the right hand corner and hit that thumbs up. All that is free. It don't cost you $1. Just a little bit of movement, but no money at all, guys. Shout out to everybody that's stepping on that like button.
famed defense attorney Mark Garagos
This is not going to end quickly or easily.
says even if David is indicted for murder, he has a good chance of being granted bail in LA County.
The argument that will be made is it's a circumstantial case. He has not fled. There is no risk of flight.
The body of the 14-year-old Hernandez was found in the trunk of David's Tesla in September. It could be several weeks before prosecutors conclude their presentation to the grand jury, but if David is indicted, he could be forced to surrender immediately.
And that was from our sister station in Los Angeles. We'll keep you posted on our website, CW39.com.
So basically, you know, this is the Houston news. This is where David is from. So they reporting on it as well. It's looking like David going to jail, guys. Burn cage found, chainsaw found. They got her body, you know, they done did an autopsy, all of that. And now they're finally saying, you know, that David, you know, could be facing punishment, guys.
Appreciate it. We have been speaking with your newsroom over recent weeks, Michael Babcock in particular, about this David Celeste Rivas situation. And it's been a mystery. There's been so many questions regarding this case. And I understand you guys are reporting that David could be in some serious legal trouble.
Oh, yeah, he's going to jail.
Branson?
Absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing right now is that a grand jury has been hearing evidence from several witnesses, people that are important to the case for the last several weeks. We don't know exactly who they've talked to, but we do know one person that they've talked to. His name is Robert Morgenroth. He's notable because he was David's day-to-day manager. Now, this man essentially knew that Celeste Rivas was missing for some time, and that's what they pressed him about. The prosecutors asked him, why did you not call the police upon this new knowledge that you had? And his response was allegedly, according to sources at the courthouse, that it wasn't his job to do that, and that he was responsible for keeping the tour going. As we know, he was also the tour manager and head of the music label of for David. So there's a lot going on here in terms of this grand jury. And there was also a report last month that said that the grand jury was not an investigative jury, which means that they cannot hand down indictments. But however, TMZ spoke to sources and authorities who say that this grand jury is indeed an investigative jury, and that the prosecutors believe 100% that David has absolutely something to do with this.
Wow.
Can we just give a little recap?
Let's go,
in case
AJ.
people
Shout
are
out
watching
to you.
and just hearing about this story for the
Let's
first
go.
time?
Right, absolutely. I mean, so it's a very, very terrifying and horrendous case. I mean, going back earlier this year when they found David's Tesla abandoned in a field, and inside the Tesla, they unfortunately found the body of Celeste Rivas, 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, and the body was chopped up. It was dismembered, and that's what led everybody down this trail of what happened here. Why is David not being arrested? And then over the course of several months, months. We learned from authorities that they did find out that David had made an unscheduled trip out to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night, and they investigated that. So
I wonder what he was doing then in Santa Barbara in the middle of the night, guys. Yeah, I wonder what you was doing, David. Were you moving the body?
Big part of this case, and that's probably why these murder charges are looming now, because of this newfound evidence.
Whoa.
When this body was discovered, if memory serves, David was actually on tour. Can you kind of get us updated on what we've heard from him?
And that's a lot of what people be getting misconstrued too. They talking about when they found the body, David was on tour. You know, some people be like, well, he was on tour. No, that's when they found the body. She had already been off in there prior to him going on tour. So he wasn't on tour when she first passed away. No, he was just on tour when they found her body.
If anything, and what happened to the tour?
Yeah, so all that we have heard is that David was cooperating in the early stages of this, and then he did have a massive tour. He had a lot of domestic dates left here in the U.S. He was scheduled to go overseas as well, but once this thing started ramping up and the heat started coming down the pipeline, those tour dates were very quickly canceled. His record label, Interscope Records, did drop him from the website and cut all ties with him. We know also that Madden NFL had scheduled to have him inside of the game, one of his songs, and that was also quietly pulled just in the last couple days. So
now, could all of that have been happening simply from bad press? Your record label drop you. He was supposed to be on some video game, his music. They stopped it. No, usually they start doing stuff like that when they know you going to jail. When they know you going to jail, you finna get locked up. It's a good possibility, you know, you ain't finna just beat it. That's when they start dropping you. Any other time, they'll just put it on hold and be like, well, we'll just see where this thing goes, you know. But to me, when I hear stuff like that, it's like, yeah, okay, they almost saying this dude, you know, is basically about to go to jail or going to jail. They knew back then. That's why they dropped him. All right, so let's check out what Nancy had to say about this. No, she gonna go off. You know, she was already saying David was guilty from the beginning.
Partially dismembered in a Star's Tesla trunk.
She was left literally to rot.
It goes beyond the pale of what any human being ever would do to another human being.
One of the dumbest people in the world. That's controversial. To leave the body of his girlfriend in a trunk of his car.
I definitely smell a rat.
We need to delete it.
A dead body in your trunk can really hurt your reputation.
Residents in Hollywood Hills grow tired of a dusty 2023 Tesla Model Y with a Texas plate parked on the street for a month and report the vehicle. Days later, employees at Hollywood Tow notice a foul odor coming from the car and call police. Officers discover a decomposing body found in a bag in the frunk of the Tesla.
Sick, y'all. This pretty young lady left out there, you know, like garbage in a bag, man. That's crazy, y'all. Double tap that screen, man. Get the likes up. Double tap the screen on your mobile device and click those three dots. Hit that thumbs up. Those are 2 ways to hit the like button, guys. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel if you're new. I'm basically giving y'all everything I'm finding on the latest and breaking developments in the David and Celeste Rivera Hernandez case, guys.
Tesla, human remains wrapped in plastic, placed in a bag, and hidden in the front trunk of the Tesla are severely decomposed and partially dismembered. Police say the person was a female, 5'2", weighing 71 pounds, with wavy black hair, and was wearing a tube top and black leggings. The person appears deceased inside the vehicle for an extended period of time before being found.
A missing little girl, Celeste, just 13 years old when she goes missing, found decomposing, partially dismembered, in a Star's Tesla trunk, who is now whining because
She is Celeste Hernandez Rivera. She is a young lady that's allegedly that was unalived by this guy right here holding this happy 20th birthday cake, David. You know, they haven't took David to jail. David has been out this whole time. You know, they've been investigating what's been going on. A lot of people have been speculating why ain't this guy already been picked up? Because when it comes to things like this, you know, especially a serious situation like this, me or you, it seems like me or you or any other person to be already in jail simply from them finding that body in the trunk. But some kind of way this guy has been staying free this whole time while they've been doing investigation and having everybody wondering why he not in jail when all of the evidence basically points at him, his car, his girl, you know what I'm saying? And she was underage. That's another thing that makes this case unique. It was an underage young lady, man, you know, that he allegedly did this to. Now they've been going all in his music, all in his songs, you know, listening, trying to piece all of this together because he make that dark, evil music. He even got a video where he got somebody carrying somebody out of house and putting them in the trunk of a car. I'm just saying, a lot of us been wondering why he ain't in jail, man. Well, it look like it's about to go down any day now.
Tour is canceled. The music star I'm talking about has gone multi-platinum. But before I talk about all of his musical success and how much money he's making and how famous he is, can I show you what he just reposted? Okay, of a guy chopping up luncheon meat. And he says, me, if I see her talk with other dudes.
See what I'm saying? Just all of this is evidence against himself. You know, this is basically a post he made saying what he'll do basically if he caught her talking to another dude. Could this have been, could this be a clue? I'm just saying.
You know, not a good look when your then 13-year-old girlfriend is found dismembered and decomposing in your Tesla. And
Happy New Year to everybody out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's get the likes past 100, guys. Double tap that screen if you have not. All you have to do is double tap your screen on your mobile device or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. Could this be a signal, guys? Could this be like a clue, you know, where you have to put the pieces to the puzzle together to find out what happened? This could be a clue right here.
As I recall, to Israel Salas Rodriguez joining us, senior news reporter, U.S. Sun, not just dismembered and decomposing. I mean, by the way, that video is from @Brian on TikTok. You could smell the trunk as you approached the Tesla. And isn't this true, Israel Salas Rodriguez, that the Tesla was noticed by the neighborhood because it was so dusty and it had been sitting there for so long? My point is, how could somebody...
See, I always just put, when it comes to things like this, it's important not to trick yourself. You know, some people dig so deep, they trick themselves. Like, I'm not going to trick myself. When I listen to all the stuff that went on, look at the music videos, you know, body doubles and all of this and all of that, it most definitely make me feel like this guy this David got something to do with this, man. You know what I'm saying? It's too many things that point to him for it just to be coincidental. You know, man, he should go to jail anyway just for talking to a minor, if you want to be technical, because she was underage.
Put a then 13-year-old little girl in a trunk and leave the car there for weeks on end. How long was that car sitting there, Israel?
That's right, Nancy. So the car was reportedly sitting there for weeks in an affluent neighborhood in Los Angeles.
The car sitting there for weeks. Why? Because it wasn't David wasn't there to move it around from place to place, from house to house, you know, or whoever else was helping him. Because they did also say they believed that he had help doing this. He couldn't just do it by himself. It may have been that sneaky manager, guys, allegedly. I'm just saying. But they saying it was somebody that helped him. He couldn't have done all this by himself, you know, which explains to me why they found the car. Once it was time to go on tour, they went on tour. It was nobody to keep moving the car from house to house. Remember, the neighbors were saying that they would seen that car parked out in front of their yard and then down the road at the other neighbors in front of their yard, just parking it everywhere, you know, so that it couldn't be pinpointed type situation where he can park it down here, park it over there, park it over. You can't just it won't be sitting in one spot for people to smell the disgusting odor. And I also think that he posted about the smell of his house one time on social media as well. If you take a deep dive, there's things everywhere out there, man, that he's been posting. He's been putting up all type of clues, guys. I promise. It's like a mystery.
It's the Hollywood Hills. Neighbors complained about a foul odor coming from the Tesla. However, it wasn't until early September when authorities finally impounded that vehicle from the neighborhood.
Was the Tesla moved a couple of times when it was sitting out on the street?
That's unclear right now, Nancy. However, there was reports from neighbors that the Tesla.
They say why he didn't report the car stolen? Cause if the police would have been looking for it like that, they would have found the body off in it. That dude, man, something happened. This dude, he went on tour. The tour is what messed up everything. It was it was to get money or whatever. But to me, it's what messed up the whole situation for him. Because they have to go on tour, meaning you guys can't tell nobody it's a body in the car. We need you to move it around, and then you can't tell nobody, man. Once they get off in there, they smell it because I'm pretty sure the car was reeking. If the people could smell it outside, so I know it had to be smelly in there. So the only people that were moving that car around was the people that knew. Basically it was a body off in there because there's no way you ain't gonna know it's off in there. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, so. The tour messed it up, you know what I'm saying, for them, which is a good thing for her and us because we get to find out how sick these people are. But yeah, man, I feel like he had help too.
Was parked
and the tour messed it up
in a home in that same area in the Hollywood Hills, and then days later it was parked on the sidewalk.
It's a little weird to see a car that I haven't seen here for a long time had a big
dent. That neighbor I was just telling y'all about. This is like the rundown. This is one of the neighbors that said, hey, man, I seen that car parked out in front of my house. And then, it was down the road. And, yeah, once they had to go on tour, there was nobody to move the car. And you just can't tell anybody else to go move that car knowing that they're going to smell the smell of death inside the car. Only people that are in on it would be willing to move it, And basically, it was nobody to move it.
On it had a Texas plate on it, so all a little odd.
One neighbor says the distinct-looking Tesla was parked on the street for some time in front of the house that was searched, and later in 2 other spots on the street. The vehicle stood out because it has a Texas plate and a big dent.
That from our friends at WABC 7. To Dave Mack joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Isn't it true, Dave, that she was so decomposed she had to be forensically identified? Isn't that true?
Absolutely correct, Nancy.
Okay, again, Joe Scott Morgan, I'm just a felony prosecutor. Could you explain what that means? I'm guessing that means that they didn't open the trunk and look at her and go, that's the little missing girl, Celeste. She had to be forensically identified.
Yeah, to kind of frame this out a little bit, Nancy, her Celeste measurements, her weight specifically in life, you ready for this, was 120 pounds. The remains that they have are somewhere in the neighborhood of 70. So no, they could not have been able to actually visualize her and say, yeah, this is Celeste. This is who we've been looking for. No, they're going to go at this. I do understand that she has specific tattoos. And they were able to use that. I can only assume her family's involved in this.
Put them up, please. Okay, specifically one tattoo, a tiny tattoo on the inside of her finger. It says, shh, shh, and you could only see it if that finger was held up. There.
They say she got the shush on her finger, guys, and you can only see it if the finger was held up. There go a picture of her finger.
It is. There's the shh. Now, I just saw another tattoo, and I'd like to see it again. That was the other tattoo on her finger. So Mom and Dad couldn't.
Another tattoo on her finger that says David. Yeah, David. Okay.
See her tattoos. David. Wow. David. David, the musician. And it's on her ring finger. Hello? David, the musician, and it's on a ring finger. But you know what's interesting? Can I say Joe Scott, please? The shh tattoo. What a coinkydink that David. Some people look at his name and it looks like D4VD, and he pronounces it David. He has the same tattoo on his index finger.
Why? Because they were together. Now, Nancy, I don't know if you've been hearing about this body double situation, but the last time I covered this story, they were talking about body doubles, y'all. Any of y'all out there heard about the body doubles besides me? They saying that one of his, remember when we first started hearing about this case, they were saying that there were two Celeste. One girl was older and one girl was Celeste, the one that we talking about. And they looked alike, and they had almost the same name, and then it was, the concert with the girl standing in the rafters with the curly hair that they were saying that was Celeste. And then we come to find out that from the news and people who really get into this stuff, saying that he had did a music video where he was looking for girls that looked just like Celeste, guys. No cap. He was doing a music video where he was looking to cast another woman that looked like the Celeste, the one that passed away. Could that have been where he found the Celeste lookalike? And it also gave credibility to the fact that it could have been a lookalike because he did the music video before they discovered that she was passed away, guys. This is crazy. Who thinks that far ahead? Who thinks that far ahead? I'm just saying. Body doubles. Look, you know what I'm saying? Stunt doubles, basically. That's crazy. Doppelgangers.
What a coincidence. Isn't that odd, Joe Scott Morgan?
Yeah, what else is odd is that a child this age has tattoos. All right. So just let that sink in just for a second. The fact that she does have this tattoo, though, was certainly beneficial as far as getting her remains identified. And listen, you can't just go based upon the tattoo. There are other elements here. We have
Look
some
at that, Joe
clothing.
Scott. We were just showing
Yeah.
her with the ring on her ring finger. That's on her left hand. This is when she goes missing. She's 13 years old.
guys.
Listen to this.
The 13-year-old became friends with singer David on social media and ran away to Hollywood to see the rising star. Celeste was returned home to Lake Elsinore by police. Celeste remained in school for a month. Then in May, David picked Celeste up in a Tesla to go to the movies, and she has been gone ever since.
This little girl disappears for the first time when she is just 13 years old after she goes to meet a musician who has gone multi-platinum, and they start talking online. She goes to a concert somehow, hooks up with him, and they start talking online. That's the working theory. He's not charged with anything, and I'm very curious about that decision. Let's hear it all from the horse's mouth.
Hello, my name is David. Pronounced David, not D4.
This is David.
I'm from
This is David, guys.
Queens, New York.
He don't look so deadly here.
I'm in Houston now. I am a gamer. I love video games. I want to be a professional gamer before music. That's actually what pushed me into music, was getting copyright strikes on YouTube. And I kind of just used my own music in my montages after my mom told me to, because I was crying to her about it.
That is from the Genius YouTube channel.
The 20-year-old became a YouTube star playing his favorite game, Fortnite, and commentary. His channel was defunded due to his use of popular music he used on his videos that he did not license. He says his mother told him to make his own music for his videos. He downloaded a free music app for his phone, and his music career was born. Using his own music in his gaming montages.
How many of y'all out there feel like I feel that David is responsible for this? You can't just put your finger on it, but something inside of you tells you when you listen to all of this stuff that David is behind this. Or is it just me?
Burke begins uploading his tracks to SoundCloud. His music gains more attention than his gaming montages. Self-produced song Romantic Homicide goes viral, leading to a record deal. Romantic Homicide is certified multi-platinum.
Has anybody actually looked at the lyrics of Romantic Homicide? Let's put it up on the screen so we can all take a look. Okay, we definitely need to shrink on this. In the back of my mind.
All right, so this is that song. Remember I told y'all it's like Blue's Clues. Trying to put everything together, man. It's a mystery. But he writing songs, making videos. This is what happens when she talks to another guy. All that type of stuff right there. And then look at the lyrics to this song, guys. Romantic Homicide is the name of it. Look at the lyrics. You see what I'm saying? Like, this guy is really like playing games with us or something. You know, like the unaliver leaving a note, you know, saying, yeah, I did it, and they going around looking for him, you know, trying to figure out who it is that left the note that said they did it to the person. Well, he doing it in music, and this is crazy. Man, continue to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. That's how you hit the like button. Or if you're on a mobile device, or click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new.
Mind, I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true. Do I love you? No, I hate you. In the back of my mind, you died, and I didn't even cry. No, not a single tear. And I'm sick of waiting patiently for someone that won't even arrive.
AJ say, I think he guilty. Me too, man. Don't feel bad if you think he is, man. And shout out to the ones who still think he innocent or feel like he innocent. I'm just voicing my opinion. Feel free to voice yours.
Hey, listen to David promoting his song Romantic Homicide.
So what inspired the hook, In the Back of My Mind You Died, is kind of like the storytelling aspect of the lyrics that came before it, in a way that it builds up to the big moment where she died in the back of my mind. Like, I didn't kill her.
In the back of your Tesla? In the back of your Tesla, you meant? You just changed it up with mine, but you unalived in the back of your Tesla? Could that be the lyric that's missing?
Physically, but in the back of my mind, she died. And I didn't even cry, not a single tear.
That is from the Genius YouTube channel. A lot of you may not be familiar with his music. It's not rap. It's more like R&B. I've listened to a lot of it. Specifically,
Cupcake, did you catch that? You passed away in the back of my mind. Did she pass away in the back of the Tesla? Remove mine and put Tesla right there. See how you feel about it.
Romantic Homicide. He's also ventured into clothing. I'd like you to see some of the shirts that he, David, has offered online for sale. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait, are those blood-spattered shirts? It looks like, is it in a car? I don't know where it is, but
this dude is sick, man. It ain't in the car, but I do see like some trash bags down there. You know, they didn't want to get everything all over the floor, so they did it on the trash bag. I think it's not a car.
That's him with blood-spattered shirts. To Joanna Nevis, veteran criminal defense attorney. Joanna, you are fully versed in guilty conscience. Sometimes the cleanup is worse than the crime, the cover-up, so to speak. Why would he suddenly remove shots of him with bloody T-shirts? It looks like it's even in a car. Why? Why would he do that suddenly?
You know, Nancy, so many people, especially celebrities, are represented by, what we say, like public relations representatives who will advise them to do certain things so that they...
Kendra say the shirts were made with real blood. Oh, I hope not.
Attack things before the damage happened. And, you know, this is somebody who was in the spotlight. He's already being attacked about his lyrics. He's already being painted as the person who is, you know, likely responsible for this because he had a relationship with this person. And he is likely being told that he should take these images down. Although these images are a part of his overall brand, we're talking about creative expression.
I can't wait. I can't wait for you to try that on the jury. This was his artistic expression. What more do we know about this guy?
Burke has released several singles, including Here With Me, that charted on the Billboard Hot 100. He has recorded 2 EPs, and last April released his first full album, Withered, with the Withered World Tour starting last month, and canceled the day the body in his Tesla was identified as Celeste. His deluxe album is shelved. His record label, Interscope, suspended the album's release and paused all promotional activities related to David. His endorsement deals are canceled.
What? Do I have this correct, to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, that
Could this be what they call life imitating art? guys? Could this be a situation like that? The inspiration of for them songs, the dark stuff and the blood on the shirt and all that could have came from a real life situation that he created, that he did basically, and then made music about it. Mark says no. Then somebody talking about Nancy being a creepy lady. I don't know. Okay, I respect your opinion. Just to me, it seems like, life or art imitating life. However you do it, whichever one of those. That, like the sick stuff he did in life, he talked about and shot videos on in his songs. That's great. Yes, people crazy. Way creepy looking. Pause. Please don't even pause on her face like that again. Man, I like Nancy, man. Come on, man. Y'all is hard on her. Man, double tap that screen, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe and if you're new.
After Celeste's butchered remains are found in his Tesla trunk, he continues touring for several weeks until the outcry online it becomes too noisy to ignore.
It's unbelievable, Nancy, that bloody remains are found in a vehicle registered to you, yet you continue on this world tour like nothing was found in your car and only stop when the remains are identified as a missing child from Lake Elsinore. He went on about his daily business after a bloody, chopped up, decomposed corpse was found in his abandoned car, Nancy. Think about all of this. And
man, whoever this dude is talking to Nancy, he ain't sparing nothing. He is like disgusted. I feel him though.
It goes beyond the pale of what any human being ever would do to another human being.
You know, Dave Mack, apparently you and I are the only ones concerned. Because as of this moment, when we go to air tonight, there have been no charges at all. Okay, he's in a relationship with her. She's a runaway, times 2. She's been gone over a year with him. I bet if we timed those photos, we'd find out how long she's been with him. And now she's dead. Now, okay, look at this live stream video of David and Celeste.
Oh, yo, wait.
Oh, look it. Answer that one.
There's been a lot of controversy about this too. They're basically saying that this may not be actually Celeste, but one of the lookalikes that look like her. What do y'all think about that? I kind of think it's her, but hey, I could be wrong. What I know.
So mean if you don't answer.
Which one? What's good, David? Big fan, big money. Bro, thank you, Mitch.
I want y'all to think about this too, though. Besides everything else, forget that he did whatever we think he did, right? As far as unaliving her. The fact of the matter is he should still go to jail because he is a grown man, y'all, and she ain't but 13, 14 years old. Yeah, he if nothing else, arrest him on that.
Mitochondria?
I gotta sign with him if you even. We need to delete this.
Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?
That's our friends at the Daily Mail.
Hold on, let's go back because they gave us a steal shot. Hold up.
The stream ends, delete the stream too?
Right there. Do that look like her, guys? Is that her? It's been a lot of controversy whether or not that's her. Think of the pictures you've been seeing, and then look at the face. You think, is that her or could that be a double? I'm just saying a lot of people been trying to say that is basically one of the doubles right there and not actually her. That's her? Okay, I see somebody down there that feel like that's her. All right, bet. I'm just asking, guys. You know what I'm saying? That girl looks older. There go Cupcake said look older. Somebody else said look like her. That looks like her, says LaKendra. Okay, all right. Just remember, y'all, is doppelgangers going on, most definitely shot a video that were looking for people that look like her. So, I'm just saying. But a lot of people been saying that. But if you feel like that's her, that's her. If you feel like it ain't, it might not be.
That's our friends at the Daily Mail. An integral part of any homicide investigation is a timeline. It's critical. Based on a timeline, you can alibi people, you can unalibi other people that you're looking at as a suspect. It changes everything. And in the last hours, a video has emerged potentially placing this.
There go her right there. Now think about, go back to what you just seen with the hoodie on and those big glasses. And then look at this face right here. This is her as well. You know, are they the same person?
Little girl, just 13 years old, when she goes missing at a David.
Somebody said, man, the nose so different.
D4VD concert in Maryland on August 24. Significance. Very quickly, Dave Mack, when was Celeste's body found in David Burke's Tesla trunk?
She was found on September the 8th.
And it had been sitting out on the street in posh Hollywood Hills for weeks that we know of. So that gives...
Okay, say lips different. Somebody said something about the nose. Two different people. Yo, that video girl don't get her baby. She didn't get a baby face. I'm just saying, man. Yeah, man, you got to look. Some people saying it's her, though. I respect the ones that saying it's her, too, though. You know, hey, I'm with y'all. This is sad, very sad and disturbing. Now, she got a rounder face than the other chick, and the other chick looks older, yo. I'm just, hey, man, I respect everybody's opinion. I'm just asking, man. It's crazy, though, ain't it? It's crazy that you even got to question yourself if it's her, if it's not. The fact that he thought so far ahead, or it had already happened and he knew he had to find somebody that looked like her to pose as her. They said the one that was at the video shoot had on, I mean, not the video shoot, but at the concert, had on Celeste's clothes. She was wearing Celeste's tube top and pants. Yeah, so, you know, you got a whole looking like in the rafters in your girl code, in your girl clothes. And then your girl ain't but 13, so you should be in jail anyway.
Gives me a timeline. That's what I'm getting at. So if she is alive, if this is in fact her in the video, August 24, and then we've got September 7, that gives me a timeline. Let's take a look at the video right now. This video has been circulating.
There go that
video from at clips of.
Is that Celeste, guys? There go that video. Now here go another face. Now, if you say no, that's not her. Okay, I bet. But isn't it strange? She got on Celeste's clothes. She got on Celeste's top and Celeste's pants. If you say that's not her, why does she have on that girl clothes? And if it is her, she got on her own clothes. But a lot of people are saying this ain't her. Let's go.
David on TikTok. Now, isn't it true? Melissa McCarty joining me, investigative reporter, host of the Killer Genes podcast, author of The Making of a Crime Reporter. Melissa, thank you for being with us. Isn't it true that Celeste's body was found in a black tube top and ripped jeans? Isn't that true, Melissa?
Oh, hold on. Did y'all just catch that? Celeste's body was found in a black tube top and ripped pants. That's what Celeste was found in, guys. So this could be the same very outfit right here. Wow. Or one that mimics it.
She was about 75 miles away from where she was living with her family in Lake Elsinore in the Hollywood Hills.
Now, I'm going to come back to you on that, Melissa, because I don't think she was living with her family anymore. She was at one time, and then she goes missing. And according to neighbors that we have heard about tonight, she had been living with this grown man, David Anthony Burke, a.k.a. David, for a long time. Some sources date her relationship back to her age 11. Did you see that picture of her as a little girl? Yeah, age 11. We can establish age 13. You are seeing video from at clips of David on TikTok. I want to see that again because now we are learning We are learning Moses Castillo joining me, former supervisor detective at LAPD, private investigator for the Dordillion Law Group.
There is another unclose up of her right there, guys. This is the same girl. They said Celeste was found in a black tube top and ripped pants. This girl got on the same identical clothes that's in this video.
Group. Castillo, look at this. People are saying, no, that's not her. So it's a young girl that looks just like her, that is wearing her clothes, that is in a balcony reserved for special guests and family. And Moses Castillo. Oh, by the way, this is from @ClubsOfDavid on TikTok. Moses, same clothes. People are saying, oh, wait, I don't think that's her. It sure looks like her. Who should I believe? Them or my lying eyes?
Yes, I believe it is her, and I believe many people also believe it's her.
Guys, this is from a Silver Springs, Maryland concert, August 24. And if true, these photos create a timeline from August 24 until her.
Is that her? That go even better shot right there. That don't look like her to me, man. The hair, yeah. But the eyes and the nose and the mouth, that look like a completely different person, man. To me. Somebody said, of course it's her. Okay. They said, yup, brown face. Okay. Yeah, she is the lady, is not that of a girl, but of a child. Okay, no, don't look like her. To me, it don't either. But this is a close-up shot of that same person wearing the halter top and those ripped pants, guys. She got the round face. Okay. So somebody said nah. Man, either way, we don't know or not, we just basically speculating. So, hey man, I'm not tripping on anybody else's. If your opinion is different from mine, you all good. But to me, this looks like a woman, not a girl. Like, this is like a woman right here.
Decomposing body is found in Burke, artist known as David Tesla, in an impound lot on September 8.
All right, I'm glad they did that. Look at that face. Look at that one. Look at that face.
Found in Burke, artist known as David.
What y'all think?
Decomposing body is found in Burke, artist known as David. Body is found in Burke, artist known as David. Tesla found in Burke, artist known as David. Tesla in Burke.
Is that her?
Artist known as David. Tesla in an impound lot on September 8. It's reported the Tesla was parked on the street for about a month before being reported abandoned.
Thank you, King.
There is, I assume that is the front of the tow lot. It was reported abandoned September 3. Now, we now have a timeline from August 24 to September 3. Not when the body was discovered in the parking in the tow lot, but when it was reported abandoned. The body was already in there. We have now narrowed the timeline down from August 24 to September 3. I want to show you another video that we dug up. Take a look at this. The words, I got time to kill, you got time to fill, we got blood to spill all over the new car seats that I'm sleeping on. Okay.
See what I'm saying? See, we got blood to spill all over the new seats that I'm sitting on, and then I unalived you in the back of my mind. I unalived you in the back of the Tesla, and now there's blood all over the seats. That's where we at right now. I know it ain't funny, but it's funny. I'm just saying. He unalived in the back of his Tesla, and now it's blood on the seats, and he finna go to sleep. I told y'all it's like a mystery. You got to put it all together. We playing Blues Clues. It's just like one of those unalivened mysteries. You know, you got to piece everything together. He giving you what you need in his songs. So you just got to be smart enough to know the key points. I'm just saying.
Over the new car seats that I'm sleeping on. Okay, let that sink in just for a moment. You got time to feel. We got blood to spill all over the new car seats that I'm sleeping on. Take a listen to this.
Friends of Burke thought Celeste was 19 and his girlfriend. Describing Burke as a very shy, quiet person, friends said they saw Burke and Celeste together a lot as a romantically involved couple. Thinking Celeste was a student at USC, friends of Burke saw Celeste at age-restricted venues and clubs.
So apparently she was being passed off as much older than she actually was. And I've noticed in all the photos that are posted of her, she's always covering her face.
Why she always covering her face? Could that not be the same girl? Could that be a doppelganger?
Curious. Bombshell tonight. Crime Stories now.
Let's get you right past that, Nancy.
And break man sees his $3+ million mansion. He was paying $20,000 a month and breaks a lease. So getting out of that mansion was more important to him than losing a lot of.
Yeah, then once they found the car, he left the mansion. He moved out. They raided it. 2-3 days later, David got out of Dodge.
Money.
Burke was living in a home leased by his manager, Josh Marshall. But since police served a search warrant...
with these cameras that they're pointing to, because it's two of them, there go one, and there go another one. And with these cameras, you know, they had to capture something. I'm just saying. Where's the video?
Looking for blood at the residence, the singer decided not to live in the $20,000 a month home. The owner, Mladen Trifunovic, says Marshall signed the lease in February, and he didn't know Burke was living in the house. After the raid, Trifunovic says they didn't want to live there anymore and are breaking the lease. The home was previously owned by Halle Berry.
You're not seeing a really good shot of it. The beautiful side of the front. Oh, by the way, these shots are from our friend Harvey Levin over at TMZ. Take a look at this. So he leaves and breaks a lease. Coincidentally, Melissa McCarty joining us, investigative reporter and host of Killer Jeans podcast. He breaks a lease to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. He may have had to pay out the lease. I don't know how many years. It was $20,000 a month for how long? How many months? How many years? He breaks the lease and flees in the middle of the night. Tell me about the search of that mansion that just went down, the mansion that once belonged to Halle Berry.
Well, police officers are looking for anything to help build a case at this point. So they're looking for traces of blood throughout the property. They're also collecting all kinds of electronics because...
Thank you for that gift. Hey, man, y'all take time to double tap that screen, guys. Get the likes up. You double tap the screen if you're on a mobile device. That's one way to hit the like button. Or you can simply click those 3 dots in the right-hand corner and hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate it. It helps out the channel, guys. Get the likes all the way up. Either double tap your screen on your mobile device or click those 3 dots and hit the thumbs up if you're on another type of device. And remember to subscribe to the channel, man. This is everything that I have seen basically about the new developments as well as some of the old stuff, you know, on David and Celeste Rivera, guys, on this whole situation. They telling me David's going to jail any day now.
They also, a huge issue here, they need to prove the extent of this relationship that he had with this child. You know, so they're looking at communications, when they met, what age was she when they connected. So anything that could help them build a physical and digital forensic pathway.
Mladen Trifunovic, the owner of the home Burke was renting for $20,000 a month, has hired a private investigator, Steve Fisher, to try and find out what was happening in the home he owns. Fisher was hired shortly after a forced entry search warrant was served at the home. Nobody was home when police served a search warrant.
The LAPD says Celeste had been deceased for weeks before being discovered in Burke's Tesla. Private investigator Steve Fisher says he has seen surveillance video from neighbor homes and knows exactly when the Tesla was last moved and who moved it to the location from where it was towed in very late July.
And the only way to amass that information, to gather it, is from the cams in the neighborhood. Listen.
Surveillance cameras in the Hollywood Hills built a complete timeline showing when Burke's Tesla was parked on Bluebird Avenue, who parked it, and whether anything was placed in the vehicle after it was parked. There's also no evidence indicating Celeste's body was transferred into the Tesla after it was parked on the street.
Joining me right now, private investigator Steve Fisher. He's been on the case from the very, very beginning. Missing persons private investigator, search and rescue specialist, and owner of Search Investigations. He is the one hired by the Hollywood Hills property renter, the leaser, where D4VD David Burke was living. You claim that you have amassed video camera evidence from the neighborhood.
There goes the PI, man. This PI has been one of the people that has been releasing this information to the public, guys. He been on every news station it is to be on, talking about this situation. Basically telling the people about the burn cage and the chainsaw that they think that David used basically to maybe chop up her body, you know, or and was gonna try to burn it up. In that burn in the burn cage.
And that, having looked at that, you've pieced together a timeline, and you know when Burke's Tesla with a dead body in it, I think, was first parked in the neighborhood. When was it first parked in the neighborhood?
It moved to that last spot on July 29th at about...
Yes, they found a chainsaw. Yeah, somebody said chainsaw. Yeah, they found a chainsaw, and basically authorities feel like it's really weird for him to even have a chainsaw or a burn cage living in L.A. They words, not mine.
11 something in the morning. And I'll tell you, it was in the same shape that we saw it in those tow photos where it was completely dirty and trashed. I could tell that they had run the windshield wiper once just so they could see out of it, and they had rolled the window down to move it, even though they're moving about a block and a half. But it was in that condition still, so it had not been used in a long time. They had clearly been just moving it around different areas of the neighborhood.
July 29, 11 a.m., Burke's Tesla was moved to its last location. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know where it was parked before that?
That I don't know, because from the house that it was taken from is a little bit down the hill, but on the same street that the rental house is on.
Okay. So you're telling me the Tesla that held Celeste's decomposing body was ultimately left on the same street where he was living?
It looked like it was coming from the rental house. I can't say for sure, but there's only a few houses on that street. I guess that's like an off street. And it came down that road and was turning onto where you go up the Bluebird there, where it was left.
Okay. Are you telling me on a video you can see the Tesla coming from the direction of his house?
Yeah, so the road is curved, and so the house that captured that is kind of at the base of the curve. So you can see it coming down the road. You can't see exactly where it started.
Why is it a dent back there? It's a dent right here, guys. Could this have been on that night whenever he did what he did? He got mad and kicked it or something. Why they got a dent in the back of the Tesla?
And you can't see the driveway of the rental house. It stops right before that. The camera angle does.
Wow. Okay. Did you see any camera video of any nature that showed the Tesla parked in that area prior to July 29?
I have seen the images that I obtained from the Department of Transportation on the day it was ticketed and towed, which was September 5th. And then I have seen a video that shows it in May of 2025, very clean, but actually parked on that Bluebird Street, that one where it was ultimately towed from, but it was clean at that time.
Joining me now, Scott Eicher. who has actually performed experiments with a Tesla. Founding member, FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, former police officer, homicide detective with Norfolk, Virginia. Currently, Precision Cellular Analysis. Scott, thank you for being with us. Explain what you learned about this Tesla, other than the fact that if the trunk is open over 10 minutes, an alert is sent by text or email to the owner.
Yeah, and the Tesla, as we have talked before, has numerous cameras on it, so that you get these alerts when the trunk is open, or the front trunk, they call it the frunk, and there's a small area in front of in the front of the car there, in the front, that you can put baggages or groceries. That's what
So her body was just in there, in this thing, in the front, in the front. This is wild, guys.
I use it for, but in this case, her body was found inside the frunk of the Tesla. It's a very small area, and you can see some of the pictures. This is my daughter here.
Who
sitting
is
in
that?
It upright.
That's your reenact, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Ain't that something, y'all? Wow.
That's my daughter. She's about 100 pounds, so it's pretty tight in there for her. But if the victim in this case with Celeste, she's already deceased, they're more foldable and bendable at that point in time.
Scott Eicher, how tall is your daughter?
5'2", 100 pounds.
Okay, that's generally the same size as Celeste, generally speaking. Scott, it's almost a 360-degree video of the surroundings of the car. What all would the cameras catch?
They catch numerous aspects, front, back, and side views of the camera. And this is me reenacting, bringing a bag to the front of the car, opening the hood, placing that bag into that frunk area, that little space that we saw earlier, and then showing. As you can see, that's the dash camera in front of the car and right by the mirror, and it's facing right down the front of the car. So anybody coming to the front of that car will get viewed.
Absolutely, IGT. They have cameras. That's what he's demonstrating right here, using his own. The camera that you see is from the Tesla. They got cameras all around those cars.
Pretty clearly, as you can see. And then there's cameras on each side of the car and the rear of the car, too.
I want to remind everyone that as we go to air tonight, David Anthony Burke, a.k.a. D4VD, is innocent in the eyes of the law, and he remains innocent unless the presumption of innocence is pierced and overcome by evidence that proves him guilty. Continue to run away from home. How did everybody know that there was trouble at home? As a matter of fact, on this occasion that she ran away from home, her sister went looking for her, even poking her head, the sister, into a liquor store, asking if they could look at the surveillance video and see if Celeste had walked by. And sure enough, Celeste was caught on video cam on the incident when she ran away from home. To Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, what happened in that instance?
In that instance, Nancy, we actually can see that Celeste is kind of doing a walk run.
Oh, hey, Dave, look at your monitor. We're showing the video the sister got from the store. And there she is, literally running away from home. Let me be clear. Celeste was not in the liquor store. The surveillance video showed her going by. This little girl running away from home. And I got to ask, why? In this video from our friend Harvey Levin at TMZ. Now, what were you saying, Dave Mack? I just wanted you to see the video.
I just wanted to point out that, that video was at 7 a.m. That's when it was taken, at a time when children would normally be going to school. But so instead, Celeste is clearly kind of in a confused state. If you watch her stride, she's partially walking, partially running. It's like she's not quite sure what she's going to do, but that's the last they see of her. She takes off. And it's a fascinating read into the 13-year-old that is trying to figure out what to do. And as you just pointed out, Nancy, this is a child who spoke about being unhappy at home, not being treated well at home, and wanting to be away. And when I see her walking and stutter stopping kind of, and then running, it just breaks my heart.
Imagine this, Celeste, a little girl, sister, also a little girl, goes looking for her sister, asking stores and homes along the way if they had seen her sister. Even a young girl going in a liquor store asking if they had seen Celeste, and could she look at the surveillance video. And here is Celeste, 7 a.m., running away from home. Now, I'm certainly not the church lady, but I can tell you this. You need to know where your 12-year-old daughter is at 7 a.m.
A friend of Celeste's mother, Mercedes Martinez, says the family was aware of the relationship with Burke. She doesn't know why they didn't ask where she had been staying. Celeste left again and went back to him. Someone called Celeste's mother and said, "Stop looking for her. She's fine." Take down social media post about Celeste being missing. She felt scared and took down a social media post asking for help finding Celeste.
As we go to air tonight, David Anthony Burke, a.k.a. David, a.k.a. D4VD, who, by the way, his music is through the roof on Spotify. Amazing. The irony. That said, he is radio silent, although we are learning he's going on social media and monitoring Reddit users. Everybody posting about Celeste's murder. And he is trying to control the narrative as it relates to him. So he's not totally quiet. He can go online and do that, but not mention a word of condolence. Speaking of remaining silent, did he not notice Celeste wasn't there? Did nobody say, "Hey, where's Celeste"? Apparently not, because she was never reported missing by either him or her parents. Yeah. Digest that for a minute. Nor was his car
him or the parents
reported stolen.
The mama, whoever at the residence, the mama need to go to jail then if she didn't report her daughter missing knowing that she ran away. And the other daughter had to go around and try to find out what happened to her sister. That's crazy. If you ain't hit that like button, man, double tap the screen, guys. That's how you hit the like button. If you're on a mobile device, so click those 3 dots, hit that thumbs up. It helps out the channel, man. Make sure you subscribe and if you new. Yeah, if mama didn't report it, she needs to go to jail, and David needs to go to jail too for dating a minor.
Interesting, right? That's called circumstantial evidence. And again, Burke is innocent. He will not be guilty unless he has been charged and proven guilty in a court of law by a jury of his peers. Is this real? Has this enormous gift to the defense just dropped into their lap? It all goes to a myriad of pill bottles found in D4VD, aka David Anthony Burke's home. A myriad of pill bottles belonging over here to a myriad of people that were living there in and out and in and out. Based on those pill bottles, and so far a lack of a COD, cause of death, does this mean no one will answer up for a dead teen girl decomposing in a hot car trunk? Listen.
Bottles of prescription pain medication and drug paraphernalia are recovered inside the home, not by LAPD, but by Steve Fisher. The LAPD did not publicly disclose finding prescription drugs or drug paraphernalia. Other people were staying there as well.
Right, I seen somebody made a very valid point. They said, so how about school? You know what I'm saying? So how about school? She definitely wasn't going all the time. Absolutely. Somebody should have reported her as missing. The school should have been looking for truancy or something. Thank you, yo.
Men and women, their personal belongings in guest bedrooms, bathroom cabinets, and bedside tables. A neighbor reported seeing Celeste sitting on the curb in front of the house as if she was waiting for someone to let her inside.
What does it all mean? We know, based on neighbor accounts and more, that Celeste was living in the home of David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD. He says David. Straight out to special guest Steve Fisher joining us, missing persons private investigator, search and rescue specialist, owner of Search Investigation, who is hired by the owner of Burke's mansion. Now, I want to get to the fact that there is no COD right now. In my experience, a toxicology report, a screening would have come back by now, which leaves me concerned, Steve Fisher, that we're not going to get an accurate toxicology report.
Maria, I feel the same way as you about David. My gut just tells me he had something to do with it.
Why? Because she basically baked and melted in that Tesla trunk. What did you find in D4VD, David Anthony Burke's rented mansion, specifically?
Cupcake say he demonic. All the signs are there, absolutely.
So there was opiate prescription medication. There was a few bottles of that. And then there was paraphernalia they can use to smoke different types of drugs. It's not for, one type. It's something you find in a smoke shop,
Steve Fisher, without divulging names, were there names on the pill bottles of opiates?
They were, and they were hydrocodone. They were Lortab, generic Lortab, opiates, painkillers.
To Luke Kenton joining us, senior investigative reporter with Daily Mail. Luke Kenton, thank you for being with us. You see where I'm going with this, right, Luke? If there were multiple pill bottles of opiates, and, from what I've seen, and it hasn't all made it into mainstream media, there were a lot of people in and out, a core group living there, but a lot of people in and out of Burke's home. There were a lot of pill bottles reportedly in Burke's home. Where I'm going with this is, if we don't get a COD, cause of death, if she's too decomposed to get a good toxicology screen, the argument is going to be, Luke Kenton, she voluntarily, all on her own, just gobbled down a bunch of opiates and she died. That's how she died, everybody. We had nothing to do with it. And then out of fear, we hid her body. That's where this is going, Kenton. Do you have any idea, Luke Kenton, who the people were going in and out? It was like Grand Central Station at Burke's mansion.
All right, so Dirty says she might have made it there, and he never even knew. I doubt it. Not if they taking pictures and stuff, and she going to his performances. She made it there. They were on video and taking pictures together. She most definitely there. Not to mention the tattoos. Yeah, she made it there, and he knew.
And who were the core people actually living there? Any idea on that? Have they been identified and that has just not been released?
They haven't been publicly named. There has been, obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, a lot of online sleuthing going on around this case and trying to piece together the blanks that the LAPD aren't currently filling in for us publicly. Some of these individuals, and I can't speak to the people that may or may not have been living at the home, but there was a group that David was often seen with on social media. One close friend in particular that appeared to be involved in his music team in some capacity.
Okay, so basically what you're telling me is there's a lot of people in and out and nobody can confirm it. Let's see that shot control room that we got from our friend Harvey Levin over at TMZ. The mansion is covered in security cams. So we know who goes in and stays overnight on a daily basis. It's not rocket science, Fisher, to figure out who's living there.
Let's go, Big Zen. Big Zen say that boy David is cooked. He is going to prison. Let's talk about it.
All you have to do is ping their phone and see, is it there night after night after night? I mean, do I have to connect the dots here?
No, it's like you said, it's not hard to do. In fact, they put it on their own social media. There's constantly, photos in the house. There's this group of 4 or 5 of them that are always there, and they're kind of David's, groupies or whatever. They work with them, but they're always around. So these are people that were definitely using the house kind of as a home base, at least.
You know what, Fisher? Let's just cut it. Let's just cut through it. All I need is one witness. one witness to crack, one of Burke's insiders to tell the truth about the night Celeste died. Otherwise, no one is going to be held responsible. That's the way it's heading right now. Things could change. When you say a core group, what does that mean? Are you referring to the 2 to 4 people we think live there with Burke?
Yeah, or at least we're staying there often. They might have had their own residences too, but they had belongings there. The nightstands were being used in the master bedroom. There was female products, and the bathroom was completely filled with things where it wasn't just an overnight type of thing.
Conspiracy theories abounding online as to what really happened. Listen.
The David and Celeste thing is the most obvious Hollywood satanic ritual I've ever seen.
That actually hurt my ear. My ears are bleeding. And that is from @SupremeTings on TikTok. There's more. Listen.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest here. Gotta be honest, bro. The David situation is all a PR stunt, okay? You guys are all falling for it. Do you not notice all of us literally singing in the back of my mind? Like, bro, it's a literal PR stunt. He hit #1 on iTunes.
Okay, he lost me with the Cruella hair right there.
This dude said a PR stunt. Man, it's a young lady that's actually unalive. What are you talking about, PR stunt? If this is a PR stunt, then look. What in the world is going on? Cupcake say true. Man, how could it? Man, the girl is unalive. They found her. Never mind.
There, I'm out. No, I'm not putting him on the stand. With another crazy theory, and that is from @Light, L-I-G-H-T, Son Zane on TikTok. Take a listen to this.
If this is a setup, what a perfect person to put it on, right? He's got sad, depressing songs. He's got songs about murdering. He is the perfect candidate to set up and frame for a murder.
I don't think David did it. I know I'm gonna ruffle some feathers. Y'all might get mad, but I really don't think he did it.
I'm gonna be honest. David did not do it, man. David did not do it. Like, y'all need to spread the news, man.
Okay,
David did not do it.
I think it's safe to say that David did not kill nobody, bro. Didn't do it, gang. Yo, bro, just think about it, bro.
That is from @KillerA3. It is from @Curicio2, from @TaganHooks, and from @NKStacks, all on TikTok.
Shocking information uncovered by the LAPD has the investigation spotlight finally pointing on Burke. Investigators have developed new information that leads them to believe Celeste likely died in the spring of this year, and the death is being tentatively treated as a possible homicide.
What has changed? What has happened? Why is D4VD, David, now reportedly being viewed as a suspect? Will this result in murder charges? How can this be without a toxicology report as of yet? But to Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, what I consider to be really validating what many court viewers knew, that D4VD is being considered as a suspect, although it has not been officially announced, is the change in the timeline. Now we are learning that police sources believe Celeste was killed back in the spring. And bombshell tonight, police also looking at a road trip taken into a remote area by D4VD in the spring, where he stayed in that remote area for hours before returning back. I can only assume this information is coming from his nav system, or is there a rat within Burke's camp? Because tonight I definitely smell a rat. Let's start at the beginning. Dave Mack, what do you know?
Well, Nancy, we know that D4VD took a trip to Santa Barbara County, which is about 100 miles from the house that he was renting and taking about 2 hours to drive, okay? So he takes this drive in the middle of the night in the spring of this year, and he stays there for a couple of hours. Now, they say remote area of Santa Barbara. If you've ever been to Santa Barbara, remote area can include probably 80% of the surrounding area.
So could he have been out there trying to find a place to bury her, maybe? Or could he have been storing her body wherever this remote place is? I'm just asking questions. I'm just saying.
Area, and you could actually be there and not be seen for a long time. He was there for hours. Now, they're also saying they believe, I'm talking about the police investigation is saying to this source, they believe Celeste died sometime in the spring of 2025. So we have Burke driving in the middle of the night to Santa Barbara County in the spring of 2025. And we have them saying Celeste died in the spring 2025.
I told you I smell a rat because we know, according to the leak, he, the killer, did not do this alone. He had to have help dismembering the body. According
there y'all go. They said he had to have help. He didn't do it by himself.
To the report. If she is in fact dead since the spring, which coincides with that late night trip out to the remote area near Santa Barbara, you're going to have a witness. You're going to have somebody wrapped. An arrest is imminent in the D4VD case as a witness is refusing to testify in front of a grand jury. What does that mean? Now, unlike a defendant who cannot be
Now she's talking about the grand jury thing I was telling y'all about. Yeah, somebody had got arrested for refusing to testify, guys. A witness was being uncooperative.
Forced to testify. A witness can be put in jail if they refuse to testify. Straight out to Alexis Tereszchuk, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Alexis, this is what I know. I know it's a state's witness, which means it's a witness that will testify against David Anthony Burke, aka D4VD. It's a female witness against Burke who is refusing to testify.
It's a female witness, maybe one of these doppelgangers.
And she has lawyered up. She's got the same lawyer as the record exec that just got a, let's see, technical legal term, in front of the grand jury. Just wait, guys, until you hear what he said. That said, she's lawyered up, female, testifying against D4VD, refusing to come in, and she's about to end up in the can, in the pokey, for her recalcitrance. What do you know?
Well, you're exactly right. So there has been a grand jury that has been called in Los Angeles County, and Robert Morgenroth, who is an executive who's in charge of David's record label, he testified in front of the grand jury, and he was heard in the hallway outside the grand jury room talking to his attorney saying, I didn't even feel like I needed to be calling the police after she was found dead because we were on tour. I didn't want to jeopardize the tour.
Dave Mack, the person that's getting arrested is the female witness, and I'm betting that it's somebody that lives in that house that basically shacks up in there and knows what happened.
Nancy, we were given a huge clue on this a couple of weeks ago when in some of our reporting it was that the police had run that search warrant inside the house, and they were able to determine which person in that house had been sleeping in which room. Remember, they talked about how D4VD had this very tight inner circle. Well, there are 3 or 4 people that were with him constantly and stayed in that house with him. One of those people, I guarantee you, is a female that they're trying to get in court. There was also another tip that we had, and it goes back to when they said he had help. That whoever cut up Celeste had help. They went out, remember, on the long drive in the middle of the night, out in the middle of nowhere, had help. So we've got a couple of hints here as to who it is. The scary part of it is that the same attorney representing his manager also represents this unnamed female that they're trying to bring into court to testify in front of the grand jury.
Let me remind everybody, Celeste was just 13 years old when this whole thing cranked up with David Anthony Burke. She's dead, dismembered, turning into nothing but goo. And someone doesn't want to testify? Really? Someone that potentially stood by and watched all this happen and did nothing? You can run, but you can't hide. That female prosecutor knows you, your name, your DOB, your SSN, social security number, your address, your mama's name, your brother's name, your boyfriend's name, your tag number. Go ahead, go in, go under oath, and tell the truth. A little girl is dead, and you're refusing to testify. And you know another thing? To D4PD, David Anthony Burke's manager, shame on you. You actually said out in the courthouse hall that you didn't have any duty to call and report a dead girl in a trunk. All you wanted to do was continue with the tour. You know what? Pontius Pilate, just washing your hands and looking the other way. It ain't working this time. If you know or think you know anything about the brutal death of this little girl, Celeste.
That's crazy, ain't it, y'all? That was some of the past stuff and some of the new stuff from Nancy. But we hear about the witness being arrested in this whole situation, you know, basically for being uncooperative. Here is more, you know, basically on this update about David going to jail.
Looming over the pop star David, spelled with a 4, and it's been almost 4 months now since the dismembered and badly decomposed body of David's underage girlfriend was found in the trunk of his abandoned Tesla. You're not the only one wondering why no one has been charged, why he hasn't been charged, what's going on behind the scenes. Well, a grand jury has been hearing witnesses for months now, and among them David's manager, who was overheard calling prosecutor Beth Silverman pushy in the courthouse hallway, so that was kind of an interesting moment. TMZ reports the grand jury will likely keep calling witnesses until at least February, which means it could be a while before any indictments.
To the person that said if he's innocent, they're going to be looking stupid. Well, I ain't going to lie to you. I'm going to be looking stupid too, because right now, he ain't feeling too innocent to me.
Actually emerged. It sort of explains why this is taking so long, although there's still a lot of questions, which is why we are excited to have legendary trial attorney and host of the podcast Two Angry Men and Reasonable Doubt, Mark Garagos, with us tonight. Mark, it's always nice to see you. Happy early New Year to you. What do you think is taking so long, Mark? I mean, they're saying more witnesses. This could go till February. Is that unusual?
Well, yes, it is in one sense that normally in California, unlike other jurisdictions, they generally don't go to the grand jury for probable cause. They just file a complaint and then you get a preliminary hearing. It's very unusual to go to the grand jury. In this case, I think what is happening, you've already seen, Brian, this kind of unbelievable, at least in my almost 5 decades of practice, fight between LAPD and the medical examiner. The LAPD has gone not once, not twice, but 3 times to a judge and been granted 2 separate orders, basically shutting down the medical examiner. That, if you're going to read between the lines, I think what's happening.
You heard him say shutting down the medical examiner. Remember, I told y'all, the medical examiner, aka the coroner, is not allowed to speak on the condition of her body or any other details regarding this case anymore. They put a gag on the coroner.
Happening is the medical examiner is not singing from the same script as LAPD, hence why LAPD goes to the DA and says, get us in front of a grand jury. We need to get witnesses locked in, and we need to get experts other than the medical examiner to give us information as to the decomposition and the manner and cause of death. I think that's the only reasonable explanation as to what's going on.
Well, it sounds like the condition of the body was just so bad. And again, we're kind of reading between the lines here, though, that the medical examiner really hasn't been much help in this whole thing.
Well, I actually take somewhat of the opposite view. The medical examiner has taken the unusual step of voicing publicly and releasing press releases complaining about the lack of transparency and the fact that the LAPD keeps wanting to shut him up. And I think that's astonishing, frankly. I can't remember, maybe going back to the time of Thomas Noguchi, who was kind of the legendary template for Quincy, the TV show. But I can't remember the last time a medical examiner has been so vocal about or at odds with the law enforcement. And I suspect that part of the problem is that they have been very candid about the manner and cause of death.
Interesting. Yeah, and medical examiners have a lot of autonomy, right? I mean, they can kind of speak out on their own, and their decisions are many times just set in stone. We had someone on the show last night, a private investigator who was inside the house where David lived, who for the first time said that there was a chainsaw in the house. And then we also know that there was, I didn't even know what this was, a burn cage that was found. Apparently you like burn animals in this cage or something. I mean, that doesn't sound so good for David.
No, I mean, it doesn't sound good, but at the same time, you go into most people's garages and they've got saws or other kinds of power tools. And I don't know if the chainsaw was there because they were clearing or had gotten a fire department notice to clear the hillside. I mean, it is in the Hollywood Hills. That's a California Fair Plan area. We're susceptible to fires. A chainsaw does not mean much, I think, in and of itself. If they have some kind of forensic evidence tying blood spatter or DNA or any other kinds of things inside of the house on any of the appliances, obviously that's going to be a real problem. But just the mere instruments in the house doesn't give you much.
Is the fact this is taking so long, or it seems like it's taking so long, and now with the grand jury and all of this being dragged out, do you think that's a good sign for the defense? I mean, is this a sign that this isn't just a clear-cut case for the prosecution?
I think that's, Brian, as the son of a defense lawyer that you are, that you've put your finger on the pulse of it. If you're the defense lawyer for David, you are probably cautiously optimistic. The longer this goes on, the more strength there is to your argument that how in the world are you going to convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt when they couldn't even reach probable cause after months and months and months? It's completely at odds with it. The prosecutor, on the other hand, would say, we're just getting to the bottom of this. Witnesses we're trying to cover up. We were just trying to go where the evidence leads us. But the fact remains, if it takes you this long to come up with the cause and manner of death, and you've got all kinds of evidence seemingly at your disposal. Everybody who I've talked to tells me the LAPD has got a robust, and I mean robust, timeline that incorporates geofencing, cellular data, triangulation of cell towers, surveillance tapes, and the Tesla tapes. So they have a pretty good idea of what happened and when. I suppose it comes down to the who, but they are struggling by all indications as to cause and manner of death.
Interesting. Well, maybe we'll just be shocked. I mean, I remember like with Koberger, or at least I thought they had very little, and then all of a sudden the probable cause came out and it was like, oh my God, they've been working forever behind the scenes and we had no idea, and there was so much. And I guess we'll have to wait and see. I want to switch gears though to the Reiner murders because there's been a new development. I want to get your take.
We don't want to switch gears to that. So that was the news, basically talking a little bit more about the situation with David and Celeste, guys. All right, so here is the most recent update with the paperwork and all that good stuff from my guys over at Law and Crime, man. You know they're gonna break it all the way down when it comes to the new development. It says David likely to be charged with unaliving is the new report. Let's go.
Of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the young girl whose dead body was reportedly found in his car. Now, if you're shocked, if you're confused by this, if you're wondering what to make of this, you aren't alone. We're going to break down this new reporting and true what this means and how it could play out. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. Of this story from the very beginning, we plan to cover every aspect of it as it develops, and the reason that we can do that is because of the incredible support that we get from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest personal injury law firm, a firm with You can click the link below, or you can in the David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez investigation, because after all of these months, after speculation, after reporting about grand juries, after a back and forth on whether singer David is in fact the suspect or not in connection with the death of this 14-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found in a Tesla reportedly registered to the romantic homicide singer back in September in LA. After all of that, now TMZ is reporting that he will likely face murder charges. Now, I have to take a second to explain how confusing this is if true, okay? I say if true because obviously There is no way to officially confirm this. Authorities are not going to confirm this. I mean, the New York Post just reported that they reached out to a Los Angeles District Attorney's Office spokesperson who said the case hasn't been presented to the office. But TMZ is reporting that this is likely that David could be charged with murder because the reported grand jury hearing this case may be asked to hand down an indictment. Now, assuming for a moment that there is a grand jury, and I think we can, safely say that may be true. There was reporting about a grand jury and certain witnesses testifying because they appeared in the courthouse, like David's manager, Robert Morgenroth. So assuming that reporting is true, you can assume that perhaps a grand...
Hey guys, if you ain't hit that like button, double tap your screen. There's one way to hit it, or click the 3 dots in the right hand corner, hit that thumbs up, guys. Most definitely like the video, it helps out the channel, and most definitely subscribe if you are new. Hey Jim, now make sure y'all subscribing to the channel, man, as well as hitting the like button. These are the most latest and breaking reports on Celeste Rivera and David in the case where she was found dismembered, and basically everybody feels like David is guilty.
Jury has been impaneled, but we always thought that it was an investigative grand jury. This is different. An investigative grand jury is one that helps to gather evidence, subpoena documents, compel people to testify, but they don't actually return an indictment. And when I say an indictment, formal charges. But now, TMZ is reporting that their unidentified sources claim no. The jury that has allegedly been hearing evidence for the past several weeks is one that can vote to return back an indictment. And their sources tell them that authorities believe David was involved in Celeste's death. So even if it is true that there is a grand jury and this is a grand jury that can indict someone, do we know for sure that it would be David that would be the subject of an indictment? And do we know that it would be for murder? No. But let me lay this out for a second, because last month, and what makes this confusing, and I want to put it all into context, last month, the LAPD came out with a statement that said, quote, the vehicle, talking about the Tesla where Celeste had been found, the vehicle had been parked at the location from which it was towed for several weeks. So Miss Rivas Hernandez may have been deceased for several weeks before the discovery of her body. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not yet determined the cause or manner of Miss Rivas Hernandez's death. As such, it remains unclear whether there is any criminal culpability beyond the concealment of her body, meaning there might not be a homicide charge. And then more recently, the LAPD told KTLA that they stand by that prior release. So if that's the case, why the change, right? I mean, if it's true David is now being considered for homicide charges, what happened? Or, by the way, is he going to be indicted in connection with just the disposal or concealment of her body? Maybe he won't be indicted at all. But one of the complicating factors is whether something happened in the autopsy findings, right? Was there something in the toxicology reports? Was there something in the ME's reports? Was there something about cause and manner of death that changed the whole scenario? Remember, the cause and manner of death hasn't been revealed. The LAPD successfully petitioned the court to seal the medical examiner's records related to Celeste's death. The LAPD said in a statement that this was done, quote, only to ensure detectives from Robbery Homicide Division learned of important information surrounding her death before the media and the public. The order was not sought to undermine transparency. But the bottom line is we don't know if those findings led to a different conclusion. Did things change a bit? Yeah. It was reported that David was being considered a suspect by police, that they were looking at this as a homicide. To be clear, though, that wasn't officially confirmed by authorities. What they did confirm in a statement over Thanksgiving was the following. The Los Angeles Police Department is aware of the recent stories posted by various media outlets about the David Celeste Rivas investigation and would like to dispel some misinformation contained in their reporting. The body of Celeste Rivas was not frozen when it was discovered on September 8th, 2025. She had not been decapitated. We have evidence that David traveled to the Santa Barbara area sometime during the spring of 2025.
Now y'all see what the laws is saying? She had not been decapitated. You know what I'm saying? We don't, man, listen. Was not frozen and was not, beheaded. Is what the police put out.
The reason for that trip is still under investigation, and we've drawn no conclusions at this point about the relevance of the trip to this case. So yeah, that release was done to correct the record on some reporting on the state of Celeste's body, but most importantly about that, the reason I brought it up, they also mentioned this apparent trip that David took. So that was big. That was confirmation, that was seeming confirmation, that they were looking into David in some capacity. And also, according to reporting from outlets like Fox LA, David stopped cooperating with authorities. He also reportedly lawyered up, that he retained renowned criminal defense attorney Blair Burke. And also, I'll note, we don't know where David is, right? He hasn't been publicly seen after he canceled his tour in the wake of Celeste's body being found. But you go back to this report that he may likely be indicted for murder. That is major. And if true, it sets a whole new chapter in this case and potentially provides a lot of answers as to what may have happened to Celeste, the girl who disappeared in 2024 when she was just 13 years old, was allegedly in some sort of relationship with the 20-year-old singer. And I will also note that it's been reported that seasoned homicide prosecutor Beth Silverman is spearheading this grand jury presentation. Actually, when you go back to Morgan Roth, so the guy who apparently manages David, runs the record label, the touring company, TMZ reported that Morgan Roth was seen outside of a courtroom and was overheard telling his lawyer that the DA, so presumably Silverman, quote, "She was very pushy on why I didn't call police, and I said I feel like I didn't have the responsibility to do that and just wanted to continue with the tour." Now, this is all reported. We can't confirm it ourselves, what was said, what wasn't said, but we have to talk about this. And I will also say, according to TMZ, it was overheard in that hallway that this grand jury could be hearing evidence till February. So even if an indictment or a potential indictment was on the horizon, we may not see it soon. All right, so I want to bring on my friend, trial attorney Rich Schoenstein, to talk about this. Rich, a lot of this is speculation. A lot of this is reporting based on what we're seeing. What do you make of it? What do you make of the reporting? I laid out how confusing this is, how it's a little bit of backlash. It seems to be inconsistent with what we've seen in the past. But do you think that this is a realistic possibility? Right now we're talking about potentially this grand jury indicting David for murder. What do you make of this reporting?
I think it's a possibility, and I agree with you. It's very speculative because you don't really know what a grand jury is going to do until they do it. It's not a live proceeding. We don't have access. We don't know for a fact all of the evidence that's being presented or what the purpose even is. The initial reports had been, I think, that this was what we call an investigative grand jury, right? So the idea there is you have a lot of witnesses or potential witnesses who don't want to talk to authorities. This may shock you, but some people don't like talking to the police, especially if it's high-profile matters. So you convene a grand jury so you can subpoena people, bring them in, swear them under oath, put them under penalty of perjury, and question them in front of a grand jury. That's the power of an investigative grand jury, and that's what we thought initially was happening here.
Unless the reporting was wrong, unless it really wasn't an investigative grand jury, and it was a grand jury that was tasked with securing an indictment, or there is a second grand jury that's been impaneled after the investigative grand jury, or there is no grand jury, or there's still just an investigative grand jury that won't release an indictment. But, I guess the question is, why that change? That's confusing.
If it changed, and listen, I think all of the possibilities you just laid out are out there. It might have been a regular grand jury from day one. This might be a new grand jury. They might have changed it. But if it changed from an investigation to seeking an indictment, then that leads me to believe that the prosecutors think they have gathered enough evidence to sustain an indictment and to prosecute the case. That would be the thing that changed, the amount of evidence the prosecutors had.
Now, I have to ask you, if this reporting is true, why they now believe, again, we don't know for sure, but why there could be a murder charge, why this is a homicide. What would have led them to conclude that? Because there was prior statements that indicated there might be no crime other than concealment of a body. There was talk about, was Celeste's death accidental? Was it an overdose? We don't know for sure, but I do wonder, was there something, let's say, from the ME's report, the toxicology findings, that would indicate that this was a homicide, that this was murder, that David was allegedly responsible? We don't know for sure. But what do you think? If this reporting's true, why potentially seek a murder charge against him now? What changed?
So I don't think it's strictly something from the ME report, because you would have had that early on, if it was just a matter of toxicology and you thought, well, this is not the kind of drug someone would voluntarily take, this is something that was given to them, I don't know that you would have gone through all of this with the grand jury. You probably would have known that just from the chemicals. So what it suggests to me is that some witness or witnesses have come in and said something. Maybe the investigators have a more cohesive story about motive. Maybe they have some circumstantial evidence that they didn't have at the beginning that would make this look more like a murder than an accident. You know, anytime the story is potentially just someone was trying to cover up a body, you're always going to look at that real hard. You're always going to look at that and be like, really? Were they just getting rid of a body, or are they involved here on a somewhat more nefarious level? So there's all sorts of different kinds of evidence that they could have come up with. Since it's a grand jury proceeding, I sort of lean to thinking it must be something testimonial.
You could 100% be right, and you laid it out perfectly. I do wonder, though, is there a possibility, and again, we don't know this for sure, that if drugs were involved, can you prosecute somebody for murder or manslaughter if you supplied the drugs to someone and they died?
Yeah, I don't think you usually see that. If it's two people voluntarily using drugs and one of them dies, you don't generally see criminal charges against the other person for being the supplier. Now, we're talking about a minor victim here, right? So that adds another level here. Possibly there could be some sort of charge for supplying narcotics to a minor. That might be independently a crime that would be different if that person had been an adult. But generally speaking, when two people are using and one of them overdoses, I don't think you see charges against the survivor.
And there is a possibility that it's not a murder charge or not a homicide charge, but a charge related to the concealment or disposal of the body, right? I mean, we could be talking about a possibility where he is criminally charged, but not necessarily directly in connection with her death.
Sure, 100%. They could go after for some other charge, for hiding the body, for interfering with the investigation, for all sorts of things. And by the way, Jesse, you know, part of this too is the suspect's conduct. Has he been cooperative? What has he told authorities? Do the authorities believe that he's cooperating, or do they think they're getting the runaround from him, right? That adds a level to what they're looking at.
And I want to add something else as well. Whatever the potential charge is or could be or allegedly is, the likelihood that a grand jury here would return an indictment is high, right? I mean, explain to our viewers why it is more likely than not that a grand jury would return an indictment given the evidence that was presented.
Well, a grand jury is a completely one-sided proceeding. The government presents its evidence, its theory of the case, and asks the grand jury to return an indictment. You don't hear from the defense. Nobody gets cross-examined by the defense. The defense doesn't put on witnesses. And because of that, there is a tendency for the government to get an indictment from a grand jury when they want. There's that old saying, you can indict a ham sandwich, which loosely means you can get an indictment anytime you want. I don't think that's really true. We've seen even recently sometimes grand juries put off the government and say, no, that's not enough, we're not doing it. But the majority of the time, you will get an indictment when you seek one with the grand jury. The other thing is prosecutors tend to have at least enough evidence to bring charges if they're seeking an indictment in front of a grand jury. It doesn't mean they have enough evidence to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt, but they have enough evidence to make the charge.
And just to circle back here, there is grounds to this. There is an idea that he could be criminally charged, because if you couple it with, law enforcement, LAPD, making that statement that they have evidence that David traveled to the Santa Barbara area sometime during the spring of 2025. We're still trying to understand the reason about that. That was still under investigation, but the fact that they mentioned that, the property that he was allegedly staying at in LA, which was reportedly near where the Tesla was found, And by the way, her body found in a Tesla, reportedly his Tesla, reportedly registered to him. The fact that TMZ and other outlets reported that his manager had apparently or allegedly been testifying in front of the grand jury. There is a strong indication. If you were representing David, would you say, be on the lookout? It is a strong possibility that you could be facing a charge at this point, given everything that we've seen being reported right now.
Well, sure. You would always advise your client, if there's a grand jury proceeding going on and your client is a suspect, whether that's capital S suspect or one of many suspects, you would always give your client advice about that, about the grand jury proceeding and what's going on, that it is a possibility. And again, harkening back to what we just...
How many of y'all in here feel like David is the guy? They got the right guy. But basically they are implicating someone else, saying David couldn't have possibly did everything he did by himself. Now we heard somebody dismembering the body, but then we heard them say that the body wasn't dismembered, it wasn't frozen. Some of the things you've been hearing in the media is not true.
Talked about that it's relatively easy to get an indictment from the grand jury. And certainly here, there's been a lot of public speculation and stuff in the press that he might be a suspect. So I'm sure he's been advised accordingly.
Would it be just him who would be indicted, or if an indictment comes down, you would see multiple defendants? Because there was talk about potentially a second suspect.
Yeah, I mean, now you're getting even deeper into the speculation, so I don't know. It depends what the investigation
Well, I guess traditionally speaking, like if an indictment comes down in a case like this, would they do it, everybody that they can charge at one time, they would? Or would you see potentially an indictment against David, then a month later indictment against somebody else? Or do you see typically an indictment against multiple defendants?
You see it all sorts of different ways. I think more commonly you would see it together, because it would be one grand jury going over a set of facts and a set of witnesses, and you would do it together. But if you subsequently got information about other potential defendants, you could bring the grand jury back, you could convene a different grand jury, you could have a whole different proceeding, so you could have other prosecutions down the road. I would presume you would do them together if you could.
Do you think that this reporting, if true, that he could be facing an indictment, do you think it has anything to do with what we previously reported about regarding Steve Fisher? So this private investigator who is hired by the owner of that property that David was apparently staying at. Again, it was searched by authorities. It was located reportedly near where the Tesla was found. So Steve took to X and he said, although my words have been misquoted by some, what I actually said about certain items found at the Doheny address was that they were items you would expect to find.
We got to get the likes to 300, guys. Double tap that screen if you're on a mobile device, or click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you guys are subscribing if you are new.
On a farm rather than in a home in the Hollywood Hills. One of those items was a burn cage incinerator advertised to burn at 1,600 degrees. Human cremations are typically performed at approximately 1,400 degrees. An incinerator is not legal to use within city limits and serves no legitimate purpose at a residential property in the Hollywood Hills. Some will argue that this item was intended as a prop for a video. If that were the case, it raises several obvious questions. Why would a 55-pound bird cage be delivered to a private residence instead of directly to a prop designer or production house? Why would it be ordered before departing on an extended world tour? And why was it never used in any video production? It is also important to note that there were additional items present that could be used in conjunction with the burn cage. To be very clear, this burn cage was not used. It was still new and in the box. However, given that Celeste Rivas Hernandez's remains were ultimately found in the Tesla trunk, the presence of an incinerator at the same residence associated with that vehicle necessarily raises questions about intent. The burn cage was not taken during the search warrant, and because it was not used, it appears it's not of importance to any possible criminal investigation, but we think it's important context, even if not criminal. The bird cage and other related items were delivered to the residence under a false name, although the deliveries were accepted at the property. Attached is a photograph of the actual burn cage incinerator as found at the residence, along with an image from Dr. Burns' advertising materials for the product. And I will also say that Steve went on News Nation and said, we found a chainsaw, no purpose for a chainsaw to be at the house. It still had the protective shield over the chain itself. There it is with a burn cage. You got to wonder what this plan was. Now, again, this is Steve Fisher coming out and saying this. We don't know for sure what authorities found or what they consider to be relevant in this investigation. But I do have to wonder, I have to ask, if any of that is related to the news we're talking about today, Rich.
Well, it definitely could be. And those are going to raise fascinating evidentiary issues if this matter proceeds to an indictment and goes to trial. I mean, now you have circumstantial evidence to try to establish that the defendant intended to dismember and or incinerate a body, but they weren't actually used to dismember or incinerate a body. So now it becomes sort of tangential circumstantial evidence, and would it even get admitted into trial? Can we establish clearly that it was delivered to this defendant, or somehow under his control, or somehow related? And I guess there's this possible story that they were just props for a video. Is there anything concrete to establish that? There are a whole mess of issues tied up with that evidence. But yeah, I think if there is investigative work that suggests that this individual was accumulating equipment that would help him get rid of a body, that is going to resonate with the investigators and probably push them to want to get an indictment.
Can you walk us through, it's being reported that they might still be hearing witnesses till February, so an indictment might not be imminent if it is actually going to be coming down. Can you walk us through how it works? You know, if an indictment is handed down, what are the next steps? Would David, let's say he is indicted, does he surrender? Is he arrested? What are the next steps? What should we be on the lookout for when this case, or if this case progresses in that way?
Yeah, sometimes grand jury proceedings like this can linger a while. They don't start on a Monday and end on a Friday necessarily. They can have breaks, and especially we have the holidays here, and you have to schedule them according to the witnesses you want to bring in. So I very much buy the idea that this might go into February before there's a conclusion. At the end of the grand jury proceeding, the prosecutors will seek an indictment, and if they get one, if the grand jury votes to indict, then they are able to indict and start a case against the defendant. He will be arrested. He would plead guilty or not guilty. There would be a proceeding in court to determine whether or not he would be held in custody while the proceedings were going on. There would be an opportunity for his attorneys to try to move to dismiss the charges that were brought against him for whatever legal basis they might have. There would be a period of criminal discovery and disclosure, and then, the case would proceed on its way to trial potentially. And obviously, there's a possibility at any point in that sequence that there could be a negotiated resolution, that there could be a plea bargain, that there could be a deal on the table, that the matter could be concluded without further formal proceedings or a trial.
And I appreciate you laying all that out. I think that's a really good explanation about what we can expect. I guess before we wrap things up, and this is another big point, when will we have answers to the questions that we have? And maybe more importantly, when will the family have answers to the questions that they have? Because the ME's findings have been sealed based on the LAPD sought a court order. You do wonder if an indictment comes down, would it list out all the witnesses? Would it list out all the evidence? Will the ME's report then be released? I mean, if an indictment should come down, how much information will we actually get?
Well, you know this as well as anybody, Jesse, because you read a bunch of these indictments. Sometimes they're a little bit thin. I mean, sometimes they just lay out sort of the underlying facts of the crime as alleged, and they don't put in the detail. In fact, I'm not sure I've seen a lot of them where you get a list of witnesses or a list of exhibits. You don't get that kind of thing until you get closer to trial. You don't get to see the evidence until you're in the discovery process in the criminal proceedings. So you might get an indictment now. Is that an answer for his family or her family? Is it an answer for the public? I don't know. I assume because this is a high-profile matter, a celebrity matter, if there is an indictment, I assume there will be people who think it's an unfair indictment. I assume there will be people who will side with the defendant. We see a lot of that these days. So I don't know if it will answer anybody's questions. To me, you don't get a final answer until there's a plea or a verdict at trial.
Rich Schoenstein, thanks so much for taking the time. As always, appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And that's all we have for you right now here on.
All right, y'all. So that was the latest in breaking news when it comes to Celeste Rivera, guys. You know, and what's going on with David. So yeah, man, they saying that it was a grand jury hearing that was basically secret, that was held. They overheard his manager come out of court talking about being questioned. They also, you know what I'm saying that he said he didn't know that it was his responsibility to report her being unalived. You know, basically the manager saying this. He just wanted to continue with the tour. You know, they found a burn cage, a chainsaw, all of this inside of David's home that he moved out of right after the police raided it. And they said that they found blood inside of the residence, guys. How this guy is still out, who knows? I don't know. Y'all don't know. We don't know. But according to my sources, like I said, they saying that David will be arrested. Now, they don't know if it will be because of Celeste or because, what was the other reason they were saying? They don't know if it'll be for him actually doing the crime or him participating in the crime as far as, you know, helping with the disposal or something like that. I also seen somebody come through my comments talking about, you know, this could all be a mistake. You know, basically he was the perfect person to set up. I don't think it was a setup. He was most definitely in the pictures with that girl, videos. She most definitely made it to his house and was staying at his house. She was only 13 years old. And like I said before, if they can't get him on nothing else, they can most definitely get him on that. You know, she was a minor nonetheless. Also, like I've been saying the whole time, need to take a look at that mama, you know, or dad who was ever staying at that residence that was an adult. You know, find out why the school didn't report her missing. Found out why her mama didn't report her missing when she ran away from home. Her sister was taking everything and doing it herself, you know, putting out the little missing fires, trying to find videos of her sister, you know, where her whereabouts, where she went. It's crazy, y'all. It's crazy. But it's looking like he may be arrested, guys. Make sure you double tap that screen, man. We didn't quite make it to 300 yet, man. We need 18 more likes, guys, to hit the 300 on that like button. Double tap that screen if you have not. If you're on a mobile device, so click those three dots, hit that thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's everything I have for y'all right now. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Man, shout out to the new subscribers as well as the old subscribers. Shout out to all of my members, most definitely, and shout out to all of my moderators. I most definitely appreciate all of you. Yeah, man. Are you reading your screen? No, I'm not reading the screen. If you put it in the super chat, I can most definitely see it. But I'm on my phone. Everything is small, you know, and plus it's 4 o'clock in the morning, man. You know, I'm about to get up out of here, man. Y'all know how this go. Sidewalk Gang, checking out. I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Make sure y'all turn y'all notification bells on to all so you don't miss anything when everything news goes live with the latest and breaking news, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody be safe out there. Never be in a situation. Rely on your loved ones to keep you safe at all times. Peace. All right, y'all. I'm gone, man. I'll catch y'all on the next one.